Hi everyone, it is Drew here. It is, oh wait, do I have to click continue on my side?
Yes.
Hi everyone, it is Drew here from Lone Fox, and today we are going to be creating this wreath, which is so cute. I absolutely love the way that this piece turned out. I'm actually very excited. I'm making another one because I need two in my house, because why not have two? Why not have two? Wait, why not? You know what I'm talking about. But I'm really excited to have two of these. I'm gonna put one on my front door, and then I wanna hang one above my fireplace mantle as well. So I'm super excited. This is the project we're gonna be creating today. And of course, I also have this downward view, which I don't know if you guys can see this as well, but this is where I'll be sharing with you guys all of the steps and all of the supplies and stuff. But everyone's kind of logging in at the moment, so I'm gonna give it like one more minute, and then we can start in on the actual project. I'm just gonna set that to the side for now. Or should we just get started? I guess I'll go over the tools and supplies because it'll take me a minute to share with you guys these tools and supplies. Let's transfer over here. Alrighty, you guys. So the first main supply that I'm gonna be using for the actual ring, or like the wreath base, is this 14-inch ring here, and it's a brass one. I believe these come in like black, and there's also a wood option. I was kind of considering doing the wood one, which is like, it's also a wreath form that you could find at Michael's in the wreath section, but I got this 14-inch brass ring. And then as far as the fall florals, is a hard word to say. As far as those go, I got a couple of them, and guys, keep in mind that all of the florals I'm sharing with you guys are from the fall section at Michael's. So none of these were from the actual, like, you know, like the section that you can go to all the time for florals. These were more in the fall, the curated fall section. So I have a couple of options here. Is it frozen on your guys' side, or can you see?
You're good, Drew.
Oh, for some reason mine's all frozen, my full screen. But alrighty guys, so here are the florals. I have some eucalyptus here, which looks like that. And then I have wait, can you guys still see this? It kicked me out on my computer.
I can still see you.
Oh, my computer one, it says, it kicked me off the Zoom call, and then it says it's trying to reconnect me right now.
Okay. Well, you can still continue with your overhead.
Okay, cool. So this right here is the eucalyptus, and then I'm also going to be using these florals as well. So I have these like little orange ones, which are super pretty, and the leaves on these ones are kind of like felty, which is, or not felty, they're almost like foamy in a way, which is kind of unique. And this is my favorite little set of florals that I got. I just love how long and kind of like frilly these are. They're like these little white stemmed ones. And then I also have this set here, which is just like a pre-assorted fall floral little cluster. So we're going to be using some of those as well, including this little pumpkin decal. So those are the florals. Oh, and then I also have this as well, you guys, which is a dried natural flower bunch. These are real flowers, and this is what I think really makes the faux flowers also look more realistic, is incorporating like a little bit of actual real florals in there. So I have this set as well, and then this little pumpkin guy, which is like a wicker pumpkin. I believe you're supposed to like pick this like, or put this into like an actual floral pot, but we're going to be cutting off the stem and then putting it on there. Then I have some felt here, and these, which are super pretty. These are like little butterflies, which I love these. They're from the floral section as well. So I'm gonna be using the little butterflies, and then some gold wire, and some embroidery floss for our felt, because I wanna do like a stitched leaf, which I think will be really, really cute. So I'm gonna do that as well. I'm gonna see if I could click on this. It like disconnected me from the internet. I'm just gonna quickly see if I could pop up my other view again. Can you guys see that other view now? I added it in, but I'm not sure if it's...
It's in the class. I'll find it, Drew, but you can just keep going with
Oh,
your overhead.
I just enabled the video. It might be easier to find now.
There you go.
Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do, oh, and also guys, we're gonna use a little bit of yarn as well. This is just to hang the project, so you can use string or yarn or really whatever you have. So I'm gonna be using that. And so the first thing that I'm going to do is grab our ring, and we're gonna be pulling off the little price tag, just because we don't need that on our finished project. So I'm gonna cut that off. And now when I construct these kinds of wreaths, because I made a couple of these in the past, I like to use a mixture of hot glue, and then I also like to use a mixture of actual wire, just because I feel like the wire really holds it down. But of course the hot glue is going to hold it in place. However, hot glue is not the most strong glue ever, especially if you're putting this on your door or something. So I like to use a little bit of wire as well to make sure it's like extra secured down to our actual ring base. So the first thing I'm going to do for this ring, this wreath here, is kind of start building the outermost portions. I like working from the outside a little bit and then kind of focusing on the middle and then kind of filling in the gaps. So the way I like to do that is kind of get the florals that I want more so on the outside. So the ones that are not particularly flowers, which will be clustered in the middle, more so the ones that are like longer on stems that will kind of like stick out and kind of fray out a little bit. So I'm gonna start off by using these nice industrial scissors here to cut off a couple of sprigs of this. Now, if you don't have a pair of scissors like this, you can use wire cutters, totally work as well. However, there is wire in here to make them bendable. So I just suggest using something other than a normal pair of scissors. So I'm gonna go ahead and top off maybe this one as well. And just make sure that your little price tag thing here is just underneath where you're gonna be gluing, so it's not actually visible. So you can kind of see, I'm trying to map out where I kind of want the end of my wreath to be. So this is, I want to leave a little bit of an opening here so I have the ring element as well. But I also am going to be adding a couple more sprigs beyond this point. So probably to like right here-ish and like right here-ish. So I have probably a quarter of my ring open, but it's totally up to you guys, whatever you want to do. And the first thing that I'm going to do is actually just start by gluing these down. I just kind of always go for it because I like to layer a ton. So there's no rhyme or reason when it comes to layering, I feel like. But this is also why I like to use the wire, which I mentioned to you guys about, because a little bit of hot glue on this really thin ring is not going to be the most stable for something like this, you know? So once we have our base fully wired down, then anything else we add on top is like totally fine to just be hot glued. So I'm going to hot glue that down right there. And this is going to be like our little kind of starting point for the project. And if you want, you can also add like another piece of glue to secure this maybe like right here. However, I like to leave everything open. But what I am going to do while that's drying is just cut 2 little pieces of wire. And I just like to go in and kind of wrap the wire around what we had hot glued. And this is just gonna make sure that it's secured on there. And if the hot glue comes undone, at least we have this additional like wire wrapping, which kind of secures it down a little bit more. And again, we're not gonna do this for every single floral. Oh, a little siren out there. We're not gonna do this for every single one. However, we're gonna do it for a majority of them. And then also, let's just say like you don't like how this is hanging on the inside here. You can cut off another little piece of wire. And then we can just wrap this and kind of maneuver this. Maybe we want it out more like this. This is kind of the look that I like. And I'm just gonna wrap it right here. And that's just gonna kind of hold that in place as well. So there we go. And I just think the gold also is pretty. Like if you have a pretty wire, might as well just add it in there. So this is our little kind of starting point of our wreath so far. Now I'm gonna keep working outwards first and then kind of move a little bit more towards the inside. So next what I'm gonna do is grab some of these, which are the real natural florals. Pop that over to the side. And we're gonna open this up. Go. I'm gonna snip this. So this is what you are dealing with. And there's like some tape to make sure that it all stays secured. But I just love the colors in here. Like I love the mustard and the oranges and these little pieces of wheat as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull out and kind of open it up and pull a couple little sections out. Grab like these. I also think these are super cute, so I want to grab some of those. And then also some of these little wheat pieces too, because these are perfect as well. So let's just take this guy too. Put this off to the side. So these are little florals, and I'm going to pull this back, and this is where we're going to start kind of like adding in. So what I'm going to do is kind of just honestly place them where I think they'll look cute. So like I kind of want maybe this one to go under here. And again, this is like the whole layering aspect. So when I find one I like, I honestly just glue it down. I always am just one to like, I don't want to set it all up first because then it gets really challenging to glue down what you set up. I just find it's easiest if you just go with the flow and glue it down. And then if you don't like it, you can always, you know, take it off after. So I'm going to pull this little stem as well, add some glue here. And I'm going to pop this one right in over here. So we have a little bit of yellow kind of coming off of this edge as well. All right. But I still want some more yellow elements. So I'm going to break off these little sprigs, kind of glue them all together, and kind of tuck this all the way underneath this section, under here. And they're gonna kind of pop out the top, and then our eucalyptus can kind of layer over the top of there. Like that. That looks so nice and beautiful. And then if anything kind of breaks off like this, keep these, because I'll be using these later to fill in sections that might not look as fluffy. And I'm also going to add some of the yellow, of course, over to the other side. So we can take a couple of these little sprigs off. I'm gluing them over here. I'm going to layer this one on top this time instead of underneath. This is a great way to also use up like scrap florals. Let's say you used like some flowers for a different project, for example. This is like a really good way to use up what you might have not had any use for. I'm gonna add these in. I think I'm just gonna add all of these as well. The yellow is my favorite part. Yellow, if you guys did not know, is my favorite color. Well, actual color. I really like black and white a lot just because I'm a very like minimalist. I'm not a minimalist person, but I love like a minimalist color palette. So very into those as well. And you can kind of maneuver them. So this is what we have so far. Some little flowers on there. And then see like these, I don't feel like they're super lightweight because they're dried florals. So there's no need for me to really wire those pieces down. I just think that the heavier ones that kind of act as like a base support, I like to wire them down. That's where we're at.
Question, Drew. If
yeah,
are you gluing the other layers to the first layer of florals or to the?
I'm gluing them to the hoop. So everything you're going to try to glue to the hoop when you start out, but then of course when we start clustering stuff, you can glue it on top of each other. You're just going to want to make sure that your first layer is pretty secured down to the hoop. So if you do want to add in some like wire to these sections too, you totally can. For this, I'm not going to because I can just tell that these are pretty like snugly secured on there. And then what I'm going to do is I like to just kind of add in some additional elements. So these are those little bunny tail pieces. So I'm going to cut like a little bunny tail off and we're going to pop this in. These I think look really cute, kind of just like sticking out from anywhere. So I'm just going to pop this in maybe like right here. There's literally no rhyme or reason to this, which is what I love about this project because everyone's will always look a little bit different depending on how you place your pieces in there. So I'm going to place this one maybe like right over here. You're just basically going to want to make sure that your hot glue sticks to something. So just try to get it to attach somewhere. And here I'm kind of placing it to where it kind of sticks onto the ring. Just let it sit and hold for a minute. I also think that working it with odd numbers is always nice when you do florals. So like making sure that you have odd numbers of different elements on the piece. So as you can see, this one's kind of sticking out a little bit further, but that's kind of fun. Like I kind of like that. I'm gonna push it in just a little bit though, to about there. And then I also have these little wheat elements, which are also really cute. Kind of want to add those in. I kind of feel like this would look nice, kind of finishing off our little section there. So let's go ahead and add that in. And I'll probably pop some glue along the edge. And just kind of like stick that in and make sure that it sticks onto your brass ring. This is a project you also kind of want to be careful for because it's very easy to hot glue your own self, you know, because it's not a big surface space you're sticking this hot glue on. So just be careful when you're kind of placing things in different areas. There. Love that. I'm going to add, might as well add a little wheat section to the other side. Let's put this one a little, maybe sticking out, like over here. It kind of pops out. Cute. And then we're gonna do this one because I like it, you know? Add whatever you like. And let's have this one pop into the middle. Just gonna sit there for now. And if you think it looks crazy at the moment, do not worry, guys. Everything's gonna fill it up to really make these look like ending sections to kind of finish off your wreath. So the next step that I'm going to do actually is kind of place down some of my larger floral elements. So I like to pull them off of the stem, and then on the back side, you can kind of see how there's this little like stem, like pop off section. I'm actually gonna cut that off like that, and it just makes it a little bit more flat. And I am going to do that to quite a few of this little fall cluster because these are gonna be our main kind of floral components. And I love this cream color. It's so pretty with all the other ones. Pop off another sunflower. Probably gonna use about 5 of these, if not 6. I think this wreath is gonna be a bit fuller for this exact example because I think my other one had a little bit more of the gold showing, but I'm totally fine with there being more florals on this one. So I'm gonna pop in, just add like, might as well add this piece as well. That off. So here are our floral sections. Now these florals are going to be kind of attached like right to the ring. And then we're going to build like a base underneath. We're going to flip it over and build a base underneath, which then we can add more florals on top of, which kind of sounds a little strange, but you're going to see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to start off with this little flower here, and I'm going to add some glue to the back side of this just to make sure it's nice and secure. I'm going to place this kind of right in the center section of where this is going to go. Just make sure that it stays on there and just let it sit for a minute before moving it. And I'm going to add just a couple of more flowers on the ring base as well. Because I don't want them to be like a perfect circle. I like when they kind of pop off over here as well, but I'll show you guys how I'm going to do that. Pop that one there. And then maybe let's go ahead and pop like one of them over here. Like right here-ish, I think looks nice. Also, a pro tip, you guys, if you're doing this, maybe work on top of parchment paper or wax paper. That way, if you glue anything and the glue kind of falls underneath, it's easy to peel off. However, this table I'm working on is actually kind of waxy, so nothing really sticks, which is strange, but it works out, you know? So these are our pieces here. And now what I was telling you guys about with like building kind of a base underneath, I'm gonna go back to my eucalyptus flowers here, or the eucalyptus leaves, and I'm going to cut them off because what I'm gonna do is kind of add them under to where they kind of stick out of the flower, and then we can literally glue another flower on top of that, but you still have like the little foliage kind of sticking out of the edges. So I'm gonna take some of this and add some glue to it, but for this particular one, I'm actually gonna glue it on to the underside of the ring, just because I kind of want it to sit underneath everything that's over it. So I'm gonna glue it onto the underside, let it sit for a second. You can even add some glue on top if you want to kind of reinforce that it will stay on there. Just like that. I might add also, probably gonna add some wire to this one because it's gonna be like a stability factor for a couple of elements that we're gonna be adding. So probably add some wire to that once it's dry. However, I do wanna build a couple more little kind of like bases for some other items. Let me push these out of the way so you guys can kind of get a good idea of what I'm doing here. There. Like I probably wanna add some here. And let's just add this little piece right underneath here. Perfect, like that. And it might look like a lot of green right now, but we're gonna be adding tons of elements to kind of break it all up. So do not worry, everybody. We are good. I'm gonna add this little piece, maybe like right over here. I'm like blindly looking to see if this is stuck. Just make sure. I think that's good right there. Also gonna clip this straight end here because it looks like a little stem just sticking right off. Pull it a little bit more over here. And we cannot forget about our pumpkin element too. This takes up a big section. So all I'm gonna do, these scissors are really great because they cut paper, fabric, everything, and they even cut like a stick off like this. Might take me a little trim, but then we have this nice little stick. This is gonna be a big element as well, keep in mind. So I'm gonna want to put that probably right about there-ish. However, what I am going to do is glue down a floral element, kind of like right over top of this section here that we created. That way, when I add the pumpkin, it kind of nestles on top of those flowers. It makes it pop a little bit more because it has that kind of white background to it. So I'm gonna let this dry for just a second there. I think while that's drying, I'm actually gonna go in and wire wrap some of those sections that we did. So I'm just gonna cut probably like 2 pieces of wire here. This wire is so pretty, by the way. This is also in the fall section. It's on a hanging pegboard. If you guys aren't in like the floral section, they have it there. So I'm gonna wire wrap some of those stems that we glued on just to make sure that they stay nicely. Right. And then our other piece of wire, I'm gonna use it probably right about here just to secure the piece down to the ring. Kind of have to finesse your fingers in there a little bit because there's lots of different leaves sticking off, but should be pretty simple. And then when you get to the end of your wire, just kind of like, I don't know if you guys can see this, just kind of twist the 2 ends together just to secure it into place. Perfect. You guys, this is looking so good so far. See how easy this is? Like, I swear to you, this is a quick project. Like, we're probably gonna be like an hour and we're gonna have the prettiest fall wreath ever. So I now wanna go in and add the pumpkin because this is a very, very large element. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add a ton of hot glue under here, the bottom side of our pumpkin. Add a little more. Kind of place that just right where you want it. Kind of press it so that it kind of sits and hits the ring. But another thing, which I'm going to show you guys how to make sure that these pieces are secured. I'm going to flip the full wreath over. Now you can see the underside here. So what I do is I'm going to be taking a leaf. You guys can see that I cut off this entire leaf here. I'm literally going to add hot glue to the entire leaf, like all around the exterior, and place it over what you just glued. So it secures both the ring to the pumpkin and to the flowers on the underside. So it's gonna make sure that that's nice and held in place. That's kind of like another little trick that I like to do because a lot of people don't know how I fixate so many pieces to such a thin kind of like structure. So this is how you do it. Like, and also when you see the little fall leaf on the other side, it also looks really cute if it happens to pop out. So it's kind of like a win-win. So then we can flip that back over, let that dry, or not. It's still very hot, as you can see. Probably need to flip it over, let that dry. Just needs to dry for a minute. The hot glue I'm using is like the one that kind of takes a while to dry, so I have moving time to move around the items. Just let that sit on there. And it is I feel like it is very, very normal for pieces to sometimes fall off of your wreaths, guys. So if you are gluing something down and it's not staying 100%, you just have to go back and add some more. Just wait for it to dry. And then once you're good, flip it over and add your little leaf on there, which is going to make sure that it's nice and secured into place. So then we can add more florals. And I don't want that one there per se, just because it looks like the other flowers that we did. So maybe I can add like, so you can even add underneath, like you can put this like under there if you wanted to, or maybe on the outskirts area like that. That looks kind of cute. So I'm gonna go ahead, kind of see where that sits on top of there. Okay. And I might honestly just bend it and kind of glue it and shove it in there. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna bend back the florals, or the petals, I guess I should say. And I'm gonna kind of add a good amount of glue here, right on that edge. And then we're gonna take this, push it under there. Something I used to always do with my flowers was cut them in half. Like if the whole flower is not showing, for example, this one, you literally could cut this entire flower in half and use half of it here and half of it somewhere else. And you have like, it looks like a full flower. It looks like it's underneath the entire like section that you're doing. However, it's not. It's like a faux little tack for you guys. But I'm gonna hold that in place for a second. Oh my gosh, this is looking so good. I'm very excited. So cute. So that's gonna dry while we add on our next flower, which I think I need some more kind of florals over in this section here. So I'm gonna add one right over there. This one definitely is a bit wider. Like I definitely added more flowers to this one and there's less of a ring. As you can see kind of on the original piece, which I think they're both gonna look literally amazing. There's a little bit more of the ring showing, but that doesn't matter because do whatever you want. If you want more ring showing, then just kind of start it a little bit inwards. I might also seal this last little daisy too because I think these are so cute. I pop it in somewhere over there. Cut off the bottom. Just makes it easier to glue when you cut that off. Just kind of add some glue there. And we're going to secure that right down, just like that. We also, this section right here, guys, I'll probably end up adding like a butterfly over here in a little bit, so it'll stay open for a minute. However, we do have these really cute pumpkins that come on this as well, which is what I loved about this piece in particular, is there's lots of elements that you can use. I love the pumpkins. I also love the little kind of like berry accent pieces that kind of stick off. So I'm gonna cut those off too. And we might use some of the leaves at a later time, but I can probably set this a piece to the side for now. But let's go ahead and add in like that. Looks so good there. So I'm gonna add that in. This is where the fun part comes. I love kind of like tailoring my wreath at this point. I love just adding little bits and pieces kind of here and there. So then this, let's just add it like right here. Why not, you know? Pops in there. And then I want to do like a little pumpkin guy kind of underneath there. So I'm going to add a bit of glue, pull back our petals, and then just make sure you're securing the pumpkin to something. Luckily, these are like literally made of foam, so these are not going anywhere once they're stuck on there. But I do want to hold it just for a second. Where should we put this guy? Maybe like over here. Yes. Love that. Perfect. And then we're going to add some glue here and just kind of press it. Make sure that it sits on the base. That's why I like to wire the base, because as you can see, we really layer a lot on top of the base. So I like to kind of make sure that the base is really, really structured and like assembled. Then we can add whatever we want on top. Just like that. We haven't even gotten to my fun like my favorite flowers, which are these two yet, which we are going to get to in just a second here. We might as well just do it right now, honestly. So how I'm going to do these is you can kind of see that when you pull them off to the side, they're kind of in different little like sprigs, as you can see. So I like to cut them off based on the sprig. I love that word, sprig. So I'm going to cut off this little sprig here. As you can see, there's 4 flowers on there. So for this, we're going to find a place for it to go and have a new home. So it might look cute like there. Might be a little bit too long. I might also want to add this on the underside, which is totally fine because then you get like these really nice layered look, which that I think looks really cute, like having it kind of on the underside. However, I kind of want to pull it and round off the shape on the inside a bit more. So I might kind of add it more so on the inside there. To do that, a lot of times you're going to have to flip over your wreath, and guys, if anything falls off, just know you can glue it back on. Most of the times it will fall off because your hot glue hasn't fully dried yet. It's not going to fall off because you didn't add enough glue. It's normally because the hot glue is not dry. So I'm going to place that on. And I might also, while I'm flipped over on this piece as well, add one to the other side, just so we don't have to worry about that. Yeah, like this little pumpkin guy fell off because the hot glue is actually still wet currently. So that's going to stay on there. I go ahead and flip it over to let the pumpkin dry a little bit more. Okay. But let's go ahead and cut off another piece of this because this is just literally my favorite one. I'm just going to find a section that I like, and then I'm going to cut it off here. So then we have these 5 little flowers. This we can glue to the other side. I love these flowers because I like how springy they are. Like they're just kind of doing their own thing, which I think is nice when you have a wreath, especially because it just adds some nice variation in the project. And this little piece right here kind of wants to go crazy. So let's go ahead. You're getting wired down. You are not allowed to leave, mister. So we're gonna kind of wire this piece down to our structure. So the wire will never slip. However, the glue is questionable. There we go. And then this, I want to add over onto this side. So it doesn't really matter where I put it. And keep in mind, it's all on wire, so you can bend them. Once you glue them down, you can kind of like create your own shape to it. So let's just go ahead. I'm just going to glue these to the base here. And this might be another kind of a section where you might want to take a little bit of your fall leaf, just because I used a leaf because like you can use something else like cardboard or something, but I already have these and I'm not going to mainly use them on our piece. So add some hot glue and then just reinforce it on the back side. Just gonna let that dry for a minute. We have some hot glue on the table here, but you know what? It will peel off pretty simply. There we go. That's just gonna dry. I'm gonna flip our wreath over and look at its current state. Oh, that looks so good. See the flowers behind, how they just kind of stick out and poke out? I love the way that looks. And like, let's just say you want this one to kind of poke out over here. You can just kind of bend it to do so. And also when you do hang it, it's gonna kind of fall a little bit more, which I think also looks really cute. But this wreath in particular probably will be hung more so right here-ish. So I'll probably have the string kind of popping up there just because I like the pumpkin down here. So this is where we're at. And now I wanna add some of the orange flowers too, because I like the touch of orange. I think it adds a nice color. And the way I'm gonna do the orange flowers is kind of the same way. I'm just gonna cut them off, probably solo. Where did my large, here they are. Snips go. Probably gonna cut them off just one at a time and just add some glue to the backside. Just shove them in wherever you think fits. Kind of like put one there. So cute, see? Just adds like a little touch there. take off another. Maybe pop one in over here. This kind of makes it look like it's growing from all different sections. That's what you want. You don't want all of your flowers glued on at like one section of your wreath. You kind of want them glued on in different sections to make it look like it's just very like organic. So I'm gonna pop in one more like right about here. Nestle it in with the pumpkin there. And then definitely need some more oranges for sure. So I also love the different leaves, you guys. Like, see how we have like the eucalyptus leaves here. We then have little foamy kind of style leaves as well. And there's even a darker green leaf back here that you might not be able to see. It's like underneath there. I think the different leaves also add a nice little touch. Go ahead, add some glue here and just pop that in. Then we're gonna add some more, but I'm gonna put this one a little further up. And right there. Pretty. Something else you can also do is cut the flower off completely, add some glue, and then kind of pop it maybe like over here. It doesn't have to exactly be on a stem. You can also add them in different sections to fill in. These are like little filler florals. I want to add one like right about there-ish. Now, something I'm kind of noticing, which we can easily fix, is like I feel like there's like a lack of kind of volume right here, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna go in with my eucalyptus again, mainly just because I like the way that this looks on the wreath. I think it adds a pretty element. And I might just want to add in this eucalyptus piece right there, just to kind of fill in that gap. But it's totally personal preference, so do whatever you like. Go in, kind of add this right underneath, and then just kind of push it up to make sure that it's stuck onto something under there. All right, you guys, so this is where we are currently at. As you can see, our wreath is looking really, really full, which is perfect. We want it to look more full as opposed to less. We do want to finish the ring. Once we finish this section, it's going to look just incredible. So I have these butterflies, which I think these are so pretty. Now, the butterfly, this needs like something kind of to sit on right here, I think. So I might grab, honestly, some more of the eucalyptus. It's the fluffiest like cluster. So if you just take this and we're just gonna glue it down in there. Just like that. And then we can go ahead and kind of attach on top the butterfly. For this little eucalyptus, I might also wrap it with a bit of wire, just so it stays nice and secure for our butterfly to kind of live on top of. Wrap it twice. There we go. And then our little butterfly kind of sit on there like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and just glue the butterfly right down because we want it to have some kind of base to sit on as opposed to just right on the ring. I think it needs to be elevated a bit, which I think that looks quite nice, elevated. I'm also now going to turn this to kind of see where I want the top of my wreath to go. I want it to be more so probably here and then have the opening kind of more on the right side. I think the asymmetry looks really nice. So I'm gonna pop the butterfly probably right about there. But I also want to use more butterflies for sure because I think the butterflies are really pretty. So I'm gonna pull out probably, I think we should do 3 for this piece because it's a little bit larger. On my other one, I did 2, but I like the idea of maybe like 3, but I think that one of them should be kind of like nestled in there, kind of like that. So you can kind of see it peeking out a bit. Some glue. Pop these little flowers up, nestle it in, and the flowers will kind of sit on top, just like that. Maybe we'll add one more, just kind of right up here. Is that pretty? I think it is. It looks super good. I also love including the element of butterfly like in this fall wreath because I feel like traditionally you would think more butterflies for spring and summer, but I feel like the color just really enhances it. And also I'm gonna actually transition this to be more so kind of facing this way because all of our butterflies were facing the same direction. It's gonna kind of give it a little bit of variety. As you can see here, this is literally a cut in half butterfly. The other half was used on another project because you could take this, just pop it right there, and you have the look of two butterflies with only using one. So you can pop one of the wings kind of like under a little bit, and then maybe your other wing can go like, let's just say, for example, like right over here if you wanted to. So think about cutting your actual florals in half, which I know sounds strange. Your flowers, your elements, your decor pieces, whatever it is, because you can use half and half when you do layer them. So I'm gonna set that to the side there. And for some reason, this section right here still doesn't look super full, but we can add some of these leaf elements, which I wanna do with you guys in a second. There might also be something else that I wanna add. Let me see if I could, maybe I'll add like a little bit of this. Kind of move those out of the way. I wonder if I take kind of some of this and bend it up. I can kind of go in and glue these sections kind of under here, right there-ish, to fill in the gap. Flipping it over. We're gonna add glue here. I'm also gonna do that whole leaf stability structure situation. I wanna pull these back just a tad. That kind of set for a second there. And then we're gonna cut off a leaf. Add some glue to the front of your leaf. Place your leaf back here. So kind of mold it around the ring so they really stay stuck. I'm gonna feather out some of the leaves as well so that they stick out. Again, it's all on wire. It's nice, but so you can kind of mess around with it. I don't want this flower to just be like on the back side, you know, so let's pop it up, move it to the front. Same with this one. Might as well kind of finesse it into the center. Yeah, so when we flip it over, you can kind of see them popping out. See, so cute. This one I think is sticking out a little too far, so we're gonna go ahead, weave it in. You can pop out just right there. Here we are, you guys. This, as you can see, now the butterfly section looks a lot more full. I like the little like leaf additional elements on there. But there is still a couple more like kind of like handmade elements, which I want to add to this peach, or this piece, not peach, which I think looks super cute. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove some of my flowers here. I have a little eucalyptus sprig I can add somewhere if I want to. Maybe I'll add it just like right in there. Don't want it to go to waste, might as well use it. Pop it in. I'm gonna move this kind of over out of the way a bit. And we're gonna move on to kind of like a DIY, these really cute DIY leaves that I do this on a lot of my projects actually for my channel. But these ones are really kind of fun. So I'm gonna grab some felt here. And what I'm gonna do is kind of cut, I probably want like maybe 3 of these around. I'm gonna cut kind of like a larger size rectangle. So I'm gonna cut like 2 larger size rectangles like that. Maybe a smaller one here as well. Here we go. So I have a couple different rectangles, and all I like to do with these rectangles is really just fold them in half, like this, and then kind of cut like a half leaf shape. So I'm gonna go ahead and just freehand, do not worry, it does not have to be perfect, this kind of a shape. So now we have this little leaf shape there. So I'm gonna do it on this piece as well. This actually might be a little too big, so I might just cut it in this direction. You can make them skinny, like here's a little maybe skinnier one with like a longer tip, which I think kind of variegating your leaf styles is really cute. See, we have this style now, different shapes. Let's do maybe this one as well. I feel like we really only need 3 because, like I said, I love cutting things in half, so I'll probably be cutting these leaves in half. So we get more of the look that we want by doing less work, which I think is perfect. So next what I'm gonna do is I have an embroidery needle here. It's just like a simple pointed embroidery needle, and I'm gonna grab some thread. I just opted for this green color. I kind of wanted a tone on tone color with the leaf. So I'm gonna go ahead and string my needle with the embroidery floss like that. And I'll probably bring this up a little bit closer for you guys to see, but this is so simple, but it adds such a nice handmade element to the piece. So what I'm gonna do is pop in here and then kind of go in and out all the way around the exterior of the leaf. So I'm just kind of going in and out. That. You just have to do it until you reach the point at the middle. Pull your thread through. And then look how cute the edge of that leaf is. It just has like this little touch of embroidery on there, which I think adds so much to the piece. It just is a nice little touch. You can also do it more contrasted too, like if you wanted to do like a dark brown or something. However, I like the tone on tone. I think it looks quite kind of subtle, but you still get the effect. So I'm gonna pop this all the way around the edge. It's literally like the most simple stitch. As you can see, I finished one leaf in probably like 30 seconds. And then you're gonna have it looking like this. I just like this so much more than like, let's just say this. Just finishes off the edge, you know? And I'm actually gonna go ahead and kind of string this up through the backside so we can tie it off. So I'm gonna tie off our threads that we started with. And then just trim them. And here is our little leaf. And also the more you pull the thread, you can kind of get this dimensional shape to it. So if you pull your thread a little harder, you can actually make it kind of a little bit more of a 3D leaf. And these we're just gonna literally pop in with some of the flowers. I just love the element of the embroidery on there. It's super cute. So I'm gonna pop those in. But I am gonna make the rest of the leaves really quickly. So we can do that together. Again, just going to roughly sew in and out of the fabric all the way around the exterior of the leaf. You can also add like a line down the center if you wanted to as well, to kind of like define the center of the leaf. But for this one, I kind of like the like whimsical, simple touch of just the exterior of the leaf being threaded.
About how much embroidery thread do you use per leaf?
Probably like 12 inches, a foot. Not very much at all. Maybe even less than that, honestly, probably like 8 inches or so. I cut probably like maybe like a 2-foot section, and I could probably use it for all 3 leaves. So I'm gonna just tie that off. That. Snip our excess tails on the backside. There is our second leaf. We have 2 of 3 completed. And for our last leaf, I'm going to do the same exact thing. All the way around until you reach the top point. Put that needle through. Go like this. And then we're going to wrap it all the way around. You guys see how quickly this is, but it's so impactful, but subtle. It's the small details, which I love that. So there we go. Got another leaf done. But this is what I meant by if you pull your thread, you can actually get like a little bit of a leaf shape. See that? Kind of adds texture. I'm gonna make mine flat though. I like the look of them being flat, which sounds odd, but I think it looks cute. Tie this in a quick knot. Like that. snip off your tails. And we're gonna set that needle to the side. We don't need any more of the felt or anything. Of course, you can add as many leaves as you want, but I'm gonna show you guys how to get the look of multiple leaves without having to do it. So for one of the leaves, probably this larger one here, these two I'm going to leave as is. However, for the larger one, I'm literally gonna cut it in half. And some of you guys are gonna be like, oh my gosh, you're cutting right through your threads. And yes, I am, but we don't have any sort of form of like tight stitching in here where the thread's gonna unravel. All you need to do is on the back side, just add a little bit of hot glue where that thread ended, and also all the way across the strip. That way, we can go into our wreath and just pop in a little leaf element. You get the look of a full-on leaf with using half of it. So you're kind of like, it's like a 2-for-1 deal. Like, yes, that's exactly what we're trying to achieve here. So I'm gonna add some hot glue, just to make sure that those threads don't come unraveled over time. Kind of move it over here. I might just pop this one in right there. See, you can't even tell that there's no leaf underneath there, but we just got 2 out of 1. And then for these pieces, I might pop these ones more so in areas that need that longer shape. Just kind of fill it in. So I'm gonna pop this one here. And then I might pop this one like right, honestly, maybe underneath the pumpkin. Kind of looks cute, even though it doesn't exactly need a leaf on your pumpkin because it's not growing, but that's okay. Here we go. We're not fully done with our little DIY elements yet. I have one more to share with you guys. I love how shiny this metal is. As you can see, everything on here is very matte, colorful. There's lots of texture. However, we don't have any shiny elements. So I wanted to add a little bit of shine to my original. So what I did was I actually just took a little piece of wire and cut it. And I grabbed a hot glue stick or anything circular, and I kind of just wrapped it around it a couple of times, like that, pulled it off, stretched it out, and now we have a little silver coil, which we could then glue in here, and it adds just a little bit of shine. Like, it kind of hits the light in different ways, and it ties back to the gold ring, which I just like that. I think it adds, again, a little bit extra. And if you bought the whole wire just to fasten down your pieces, you might as well use it for some other things too, you know? So I'm gonna cut off probably like 5 or 6 of these. You can do however much you want, however little you want. I'm gonna wrap that, pull it out. Super simple. Let's even do a tighter one after this one and see how that looks as well. I'm gonna grab that, and then I'm gonna just pop this one kind of maybe over by the butterfly. Kind of pop in right there. And let's grab a little bit more of the wire. That. And then we'll use a smaller thing. So why not use the little stem that we cut off from the pumpkin? So I'm gonna go ahead and loosely wrap it, because this one might be a little bit more challenging to take it off of, because it has a kind of thicker end there. Loosely wrap it, pull it, so you have this nice tight kind of little coil. And cut off this end so it looks like it ended. And I'm gonna leave this little tail just because I think it'll be nice to add the glue onto the little tail. And then we can go ahead, plop it in. Can you see that, you guys? It's literally right here. It's just like a nice little shimmer of gold. I'm gonna do a couple more, maybe like just 1 or 2 more with this piece here. Add some glue, pop this. Let's just do this one like, I don't know, right here. Pretty. And honestly, you guys, I kind of feel like that is pretty full of a wreath for the base. But of course, we do need to add a little bit of our gold wire to the exposed ring here. I just like this. I think it adds, again, a little bit of texture. So I'm just gonna loosely and quickly wrap around our gold wire to the exposed ring. You can do this at the start. However, I never know how much exposed ring I'm going to have. So I just find it kind of easier and it saves a little bit more of your supplies since most of the ring form is covered anyways. So I'm gonna just add a little bit of this onto the outside here. And also, let's just say like you want some of these flowers to kind of stay up towards the top here. You can also literally wrap the wire around it as you go. Like, and it will just stay in place now. As you can see, that flower's gonna stay there, but I think I'm gonna just go ahead and let it kind of fall itself.
What do you think is the easiest way to hang this wreath, Drew?
On mine, you can literally hang it right on the ring if you wanted to, and it will totally stay. However, I like the look of having like a little hanger at the top of it. So I'm gonna actually add the hanger last, which we're gonna do in just a minute here. So I feel like this is probably just about enough for that. Go in and snip off the excess. There we go. The last part, which is what we were just talking about, is to create the hanger. Now, I want the kind of pumpkin to be more towards the bottom. I feel like this looks like it's the heaviest part of the wreath. So I want my hanger to be kind of probably right about here-ish. So I'm gonna flip this over, the whole entire wreath over, so we can see this area right here. And I'm gonna just cut a little piece of yellow yarn, and you can use the yarn, you can use a little piece of wire if you have it, whatever you have on hand works totally fine. I just like the touch of the yellow. Just gonna loop it like this, and we're just gonna do a lark's head knot right in a section where you don't have too much stuff glued on. So I'm just gonna have to finesse it in there and then pull your tails through just like that. And then on the you're just gonna kind of figure out how much you want it to hang on the top. So probably want it right about here-ish, and I'm just gonna tie it in a knot again. Just like that. And guys, I literally think that finishes off our wreath. Cut those tails off. You can flip it back over. And this is gonna be your hanger point now. So when it hangs on the wall, you can hang it on top of a nail or whatever you wanna do. I just like the look of this. I think it adds a cute little touch to the top. And that finished off our wreath. We're done. Beautiful. Oh my gosh, can you guys, did you ever find my personal? Oh, you did. Let me go ahead and pull up the chat box so I can see what you guys are saying. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I literally wasn't looking at the chat box super often because I was just so interested in my project. Let me hold it up for you guys though. Oh, here is our wreath. That is so pretty. This is the one that we just created right now in the class, which you guys, that took an hour. We started at 1, it is currently 2. That, oh my gosh, that is literally so pretty. I love this. It's like a little sprig here. Maybe pull it up there, fill in that little gap if I wanted to, but I kind of like it. It's doing its own thing. But then let me also share with you guys kind of my original one as well, just so you can see. It's a little bit less full, but it also is super pretty. So you can kind of do whatever you want. 2 options. See how this one on the left is just like a bit more full, and this one's a bit less full, but they're so cute anyways. It does not matter, however you want to do it. Does anybody have any questions on any of the techniques or supplies or anything that I did in the video? I'm checking the chat right now so I can see if any of them are popping up.
We had some people asking what type of butterflies you were using. Were they feather? Were they wood? Were they?
The butterflies are, oh, they actually are feathers. I didn't even know that. You can maybe see the texture of them on there. They come in a pack of 12, I believe. Where did you get your wire cutters? I actually have no idea. You can probably find these on Amazon, like industrial scissors or something. Oh, and the hot glue that I used was the Gorilla Glue hot glue. Just a bit stronger, I feel like, than your traditional. Yeah, you can use wire for the hanger as well. If you, oh, about storage, I mean, you probably would have to get like a custom, they have wreath boxes. I've seen them before. If you wanted to store it in something like that. I'm not really sure how I'm going to store mine, but I'll probably end up putting it in my suitcase and then slipping it under my bed because there's nothing in there at the moment. I didn't wire the flowers. I only wired down like the kind of like the stem pieces like these at the base, because the flowers, it is like almost impossible to wire them down unless you have like a long stem on them. I just find it unnecessary just because everything stays with the hot glue anyway. So as long as you wire down whatever the flowers are sitting on, it's all going to stay together. But I feel like that's all. I think that finishes off our class, everybody.
All right. And you can find this recording at michaels.com/classes. And thank you everybody for joining us.
Thank you guys for joining. Thank you all so much. I will see you on my Instagram account probably in a couple minutes.